What is up, everyone? It is Monday again. Coming a little bit late today, but still Monday. And we're gonna talk about standard, alchemy, historic, the works, recent tournaments, things like that. And we did get some interesting new things in alchemy. I know it's not the most popular format, but stay tuned. So yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, start with standard. Standard again, not a lot changing, so we're really only looking for the interesting brews and decks that kind of stand out in standard right now. Uh, Mostly the same, but we do have an interesting deck that's doing pretty well. Rule aggro. So let's take a look at that. This is a deck that is running some of the new cards like Monstrous Rage. We got Samut in there, which was a very good one. We've got Rampaging Raptor, haste card that didn't see a lot of play but was very good. Of course, Godric. So basically, haste.deck with Samut to give you draw. So very powerful. And then I think some versions are even running Ruby pairing tracker. So yeah, there's a couple different versions of the deck, both doing very well. 58%, 57%. Very promising. So if you want a new flavor of mid-range, aggro mid-range in standard, then this is the deck for you. If we look at best of three, not much going on here. Basically, it's just the world's deck over and over again. So yeah, if you like soldiers, ramp, or Esper, you can play best of three. All right, in historic, uh, again, mostly the same, but we do have this one new deck here, Golgari Elves. So mono green elves is the thing for a long time. It was always kind of tier 2, but Golgari elves somehow doing quite well this last week or so. So I wanted to check it out, see what kind of things they added to it. And we have a Shaman of the Pack as the main black card. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. So kind of a reach way to win the game if you're not finding your Crater Hoofs or things like that. Other than that, not much going on there. So basically you're splashing for a little bit of reach there with Shaman of the Pack. Interesting. Again, it's doing quite well, so it must be stacked up pretty good against the format right now. All right, let's take a look at Alchemy. Again, I said, we had a recent Alchemy set, and so we got a couple new decks in Alchemy. It's not all just mono black anymore. We see Mardu Pigs at the #1 spot. Remember, I mentioned the pigs seemed like a real deck. So it turns out it is. 4-color legends. This was already a thing, but it wasn't quite the top tier decks. But I guess it probably got a few new legends to help make it better. And then Esper Dollmaker. This is using this dedicated Dollmaker card. Enters the battlefield, exiled to one non-land permanent. Its controller creates a copy. So you can do some sorts of ETB effects. You get copies of them. So then you can now copy your copies. Things like that. You also can make them indestructible. So it's pretty big, like ETB copy, good effects type deck with other good removal and things like that. But yeah, let's take a look. So Mardu, Pigs, we got Crucius, we got Jewel, Mine Overseer, Juggernaut Peddler. These were all pretty good before. And Dedicated Dollmaker. The pig in question is the Porcine Portent. It's a removal, exile target creature, and you gain 1 life for each boar you control. So just pretty good removal there on an enchant or adventure. And then the other side, enters the battlefield, conjure a card of your choice from the spellbook, and boars you control get +1/+1. So not a whole lot of synergy. I guess you get the dedicated Dollmaker, which can copy that ATB. Nothing else is a boar really. So this one not quite living up to name Mardu Pigs. It's just one pig. But yeah, still pretty good card, making a splash, making this deck possible. And then Esper Dollmaker, as we mentioned, the dedicated Dollmaker card. Also Three Blind Mice making its way in there. Again, the pigs, very good. And Rusco. One of the things you want to target is your Rusco. So you can make a bunch of midnight clocks. Also, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it counters on the clock and you ping. So you got a lot of non-creature spells in here to, trigger that effect. I saw another version, maybe it's gonna be in the Twitter section, where it was kind of like a combo with Resco, but I don't really see that here, so yeah, we'll see. Okay. Oh yeah, oh that's why. This one is not, it's not legendary. The copy is not legendary, so you can copy Resco and have two on the battlefield. That's part of the combo there. But yeah, both pretty cool. It makes me want to play Alchemy a little bit just to try out some of these decks. Let's move on to the tournaments though. So, tournament, pretty big tournament, over 100 people in this one. But nothing too special. We got Domain Ramp in the number 1, Azorius Soldiers, Domain Ramp number 3, Azorius Soldiers number 4. So, yeah, pretty much your best decks are Ramp, Soldiers, and Esper, as you can see by this tournament results. All right, we also have Robert Taylor's standard showcase. I mean, it's not his, but he always posts the results. And as you can see, the ramp got first place. And then second place, we have Esper Control. Esper Control with Wandering Emperor, Sunfall, and Farewell. Third place is Esper Midrange. And fourth place is Esper Midrange. So lots of Esper. Control getting second is pretty nice. That is pretty rare. So glad to see, there is some hope for Control in Esper. You just have to kind of play like a no win con control deck. All right. Yeah, that's it for the tournaments. Let's move to the Twitter Brews. There's a 5-0 list from a small tournament that happened recently. It's not Demir, it is Sultai, a Sultai kind of tempo deck. You've got Lord Skitter, you've got Shieldred, you've got Kaito, you've got the Fairy Mastermind, lots of removal, some counters, and the Mosswood Dread Knight, also a very annoying creature, gives you a lot of value. So just a really sticky, annoying to deal with creatures, and with lots of value attached to them. Some good removal, some inevitable late game, and a little bit of counter spells. Actually pretty cool deck. I mean, it's nothing that out of the ordinary. It's a mix between the Demir mid-range deck we saw before and Esper Legends, but and also kind of Golgari. So it's like a mix of kind of 3 decks. But no one's really tried this before, to my knowledge. So props to this person getting first place, 5-0 win in this tournament. With a really cool deck. Alrighty, moving on. This is a Boros deck. This one looks to be, I want to say, historic. Yeah, this is historic. So we got Venerated Loxodon, Ornithopter, Raven Inspector, yeah, Legion Landing. Those are all historic cards. There's a version of this in Standard that was doing quite well, I think last week. But interesting to put it in historic. You get more convoked options with the Embercleave and the Loxodon. All these cards were huge players, back in the day, so makes sense that they would still be pretty good. And Bonicorn also pretty good, gets bigger as you go wider. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, and it seems like it could be viable historic, aggro deck. You might have trouble beating other aggro decks in the format, but you probably beat some of the slower decks, at least. Some of the combo decks probably. Pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I like to see this new stuff coming out. Right, we got Azorius Tempo decks. This is of course the Brew Lab, one of my favorite uh brewers, I guess, people I follow on Twitter. Just playing around with some new versions of Azorius. He had some good results with this one, at least in the 5 or so games that he played, and he playing some cards that we don't see very often. Marshal of Zhalfir, Xeric Strobe Knight, Invasion of Xerics. So playing a lot around like Flash and creating tokens, and kind of going wide. It's interesting. I don't think it's going to be better than just like Azorius Soldiers or something like that. But it does look like it's a little bit cheap on the wild cards, at least in a lot of places. And yeah, I don't know. Could be a fun, have some fun on the weekend in the play queue or just get doing your quest or something like that. So yeah, worth trying. All right, then the last one we got. Yeah, this is the one he went 103 and 9 to first place on the ranked ladder with Alchemy Esper Dollmaker. So this is basically very similar to what we saw before. I think he has a little bit more of the Limbus, and yeah, Dollmaker copies Rusco, which makes a bunch of Ruscos that ping the opponent and tick up your clock. Then you cast some things like Porcupine Portent, Fruitbine Mice, Limbus, removal, etc. to trigger all your Ruscos. Very, very cool. This is a little bit different than the version we saw earlier, but still very, very cool. Yeah, makes me want to play Alchemy. Maybe I'm going to play Alchemy after this. All right, that is it. I did want to mention that I think it was about 2 weeks ago now, maybe a week, a little bit over a week, the MTG Commander Doctor Who decks came out. And I don't usually play that much paper, but I did end up purchasing one of those ones. I gotta say, it is one of the coolest products I've ever seen them put out for Commander. Every card has a unique art. The mana bases in those decks is like really expensive lands that normally would cost you hundreds of dollars to buy. So even if you don't really want the deck, if you just need the mana base for Commander or for something like that, it'd be worth buying. Yeah, really cool. Anyway, I can't recommend it enough. Um, how does the deck play? I guess I'll find out. But at least the flavor is really sweet if you're a Doctor Who fan, and the mana base, like I mentioned, really high value cards that you would want in your other decks. So very cool. Um, yeah, let me know what you think. If you're Doctor Who fans as well, let me know in the comments. But until next time, go out there, have some fun. See ya.